Among the key aspects of Jamal's style was his mastery of melodic development and self-editing. He had said, "Not overplaying is a rule we should abide by." In fact, the most obvious element of his style was the use of space in his solos to a degree that was unusual in jazz. And that is straight out of the article from the top 100 albums that have shaken the world. This week, Ahmad Jamal, live at the Pershing, but not for me. Welcome back, everybody.
Hi. Good to see you two.
You too.
And a warm welcome to our subscribers and viewers.
Yes.
I'm excited to find out what's new this week.
What's new?
We've got a drummer, an Israeli drummer by the name of Ofri Nehemia. Sounds a lot like the Hebrew word Nehemiah. And the album title is Time Traveler. And let me just say this about Nehemiah from the old scriptures. The word Nehemiah can be translated, the Hebrew word can be translated, the comfort of God or God's comfort. Now, I don't know whether the time traveler will actually get you comfort. It'll bring some ease to your mind and to your soul. But I think our listeners are going to like this album. I love the album cover. And you see the white background and him standing there. And it's like he's got a timepiece dangling from his arm, his hand. And obviously to suggest time traveler. The producer, the record label is Adhemya Ropa. Not heard that word before, but the record label is a rather complicated word. But again, I think our listeners are going to appreciate this album. Every piece on the album is good. And again, this is an accomplished drummer. And he's been practicing drums from a very early age and brought up with music as a background. So Time Traveler, enjoy it, my friends, enjoy it.
The thing that I found interesting was the mix of this album. The way that it's mixed is crystal clear. You can hear everything so clearly on the record that at the end of song number 2, you can actually hear him click his sticks together before they cut the recording. Not that it's a big deal, but I'm just saying everything is crystal clear. I love the last song on the album. It's called One for Me. It's a drum solo piece. It's just drums. It's so cool. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the video of that, check out the video because the other artists are just kind of standing off the side, which you would anticipate they do, very graciously, very calmly, waiting for the solo to end. And he just rocks this piece. Yes.
What is it that you appreciated most about the entire album?
The rhythm, the beat, the flow of it. Obviously very professionally done. And this is a young man who has all kinds of accolades to his name already. Born in 94. So that tells you a little bit about how young he is, but he's been on the stage many times with some big names. Enjoy.
All right, Drew, what do you say? You want to ready to get in some clips this week of Ahmad Jamal Trio?
Let's do that. Absolutely. Cue the music.
Woohoo!
Yes, Surrey with the fringe on top.
Surrey with the fringe on top. We're going to start at 1:30. Definitely live.
Definitely live.
Do tell, what stands out to you for that?
Well, obviously, I don't know how to describe the change that he makes as he's playing the piano and right hand, left hand, and then he gets softer, louder. Obviously, forte or piano or whatever those symbols represent. But it's almost like he changes the tempo and changes the. Does he change the chord structure there when as he's playing? Because I think I read somewhere where he's able to do that, and the other musicians catch on and just they flow with it. They flow with him through that whole process, and so I think this is a good example of how this trio actually meshes their music. Yeah, Matt, what do you think?
I agree. You can hear the solo work with his right hand, but and then yes, he goes to the block chords, bum 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 bum, and so he does change it up enough. I'm still struggling. I've struggled all week pretty much because exactly what you read, that he leaves space in his solos, and if you listen carefully to that solo, there's not a lot of space. So there is. It's not all just notes running, wild, but all week long that's been going through my head. Let me listen for the space. Let me listen for the rest, and they're few and far between, in my opinion.
Oh, you're going to get to see that here in just a little bit. And what I'm looking for isn't necessarily the pause. I'm not looking for just dead silence from the piano. I'm looking for where does the bass come in? And if you can hear the bass running the chords, then he doesn't need to play with his left hand, which is the bass. So he's letting the bass fill in. In this particular song, yes, he's running rampant at the top of the piano. But in most of this week's album, you'll hear him change voicing from the top of the piano in a higher octave to the middle of the piano to running some bass lines on the bottom of it. And so those voicings change, and that's where the silence starts. Again, it's not a long pause, but you start to hear the bass really stepping in. I don't know if it does it justice on the YouTube through our system, but listen for the bass as it comes in, and that's when pause is it. That takes me to this. I wanted to hear No Greater Love starting at about 10 seconds so we can skip the intro part of it and almost a complete minute before the chorus comes back in. So this is his solo time, if you will. So we'll listen to that, and then we'll get to Matt's clip in a moment. I'll stop it there. But that's roughly what I'm talking about. He starts high, goes mid, and then he starts to fill in some chords along the way, which are not in conflict with the notes that the bass player's playing. So he's just kind of touching a little bit on it, and the piano goes down in volume, only to let the bass be heard. And then he steps back in and begins to play a little bit louder, and that's the dynamics that everybody knew Ahmad Jamal for. I can play loud or I can play quiet, I can play high, I can play low, but mostly I can play just the right notes at just the right time, which I'll get into in a little bit when the slideshow comes around.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard the space more in that clip for sure. I heard it more.
So, was there a piece there on the street where you live? That music? There was a song some time ago that was called something on the street where you live. That sounded very much like that song from.
Are you talking about Sesame Street? That doesn't sound like Sesame Street.
This was probably a Mr. Rogers in there.
Mr. Rogers. Yeah.
Out of every door. No, it's just on the street where you live. And oh,
We're just merely 10 minutes in and we've already lost it right out the window. There is some, I'm sure that there have been some other songs done very similar to that. I didn't get into a lot of the other songs that were done or spin off of his songs, but he has made on this album a lot of popular songs really famous,
Yeah.
which I think is probably what Matt's about to listen to. One of the
Yeah.
most popular.
One of the most popular songs, and actually I love this live version even better than the recorded version on the album, the studio version, I mean, not the recorded version. So I love this live version. This is song number 6 on the album, Poinciana. Start me right about 2 minutes. Timeout. All right. You're drinking that Coke and whiskey. Went down the wrong pipe.
I'm in. That was my Earl Grayer.
That's what I got, Earl Grey.
All right, we're back. Starting at about 2 minutes. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, I mean, right about 2 minutes. Song number 6, Poinciana.
Poinciana.
Very.
So for me this week, that was the song that I always looked forward to coming on the album. I listened to the album over and over and over again this week, but that was the song that I couldn't wait to get to.
Yeah.
That song hit me almost as hard as Oliver Nelson's Blues in the Abstract Truth. I'm an Oliver Nelson fan. I'm a Freddie Hubbard fan. The Blues in the Abstract Truth is one of my new all-time favorite jazz tunes anyways, but Poinciana hits me just as hard. I love it. I love it so much. I had a professional drummer over for dinner last night, and I asked her to listen to that section to tell me. I had a question. I said, it sounds to me like he's playing on a snare tom, on a snare drum without the snare. That the beat that he lays down, the drummer,
Vernell.
yeah, right. But it sounds to me, it doesn't sound like a deep tom. And she listened to it, and we replayed it again, and she said, I think you're right. I think he's playing a snare without the snare turned on,
With the
snare tom.
turned on.
Because it's too high for a tom, the sound that it makes. So yeah, I mean, it was really cool because she listened to it a couple of times and she got all excited. Yeah, I think you're right. I think he turned the snare off. So no, I mean, I was excited because I got it right. But I love.
You get so very few things right anymore.
Right.
It's nice to put a check mark on it, isn't it?
Yeah. So I just love the use of the different sound of the drums. I love the head, the way that the melody flows. Again, I love the recorded version almost better than I love the studio version.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it's interesting to me to hear the sound of that tom, and I thought about that as well. I bet they shut the snare off. Coming into this trio where they went to an actual drum set and a bass, off of the trio prior, which was strings. You had just a guitar. And the more I listened to the albums with the guitar, the bass, and the piano, you could hear, I think it was George Benson, hammering down on the string at the end of the fret as if making a noise, and then you could hear him banging on his guitar, which made the same sound as the sound of that snare without the rattles on. So I think it was also a throwback to the sound prior to a drum set in the trio, which I really appreciated.
Let me add to that, because when I'm practicing on the drum kit at the church, I turn the snare off, and it is more like one of the toms. Got a lower a sound to it than 1, 2, or 3, the floor tom. So I would, knowing what I know, because I'm so knowledgeable now, I would concur with the professional and the other unconnoisseur.
That he turned the snare off. All right, what do you think? You ready for the slideshow, or you want to keep going?
Let's do the slideshow. We got some
Let's
information
go.
to get into. Just the facts, baby. Just the facts.
All right, here we go. That very first slide, I say it every week, and I'm going to continue to say it until we're done. Whatever you do, do it to jazz. You're going to hear in just a few minutes our week in music. That's pretty much what we do. We just we love to listen to jazz all week long. This week, one more time, the Ahmad Jamal Trio, live at the Pershing, but not for me, from the golden year of jazz, 1958. I dig the artwork. I love the perspective of the camera angle. I love the font, the colors, and this was released on the Argo label, LP 628, and it's high fidelity. So I love the artwork. That's all I need to say about it. You guys have anything to say about the artwork? Nope. All right, here we go. We're going to move right on to the jazz style for the day. This one is called crossover jazz. Crossover jazz is an artist mix of different styles of music into jazz. The best I could come up with to give some kind of a reference is Courtney Pine, Modern Day Stories, the name of the song, In the Garden of Eden. That's the name of the song. He mixes different styles. He mixes different sounds. He actually does some record scratch. So it's just really cool. The jazz style for the day, crossover jazz, mixing different styles into it.
I thought you were going back to last week's Cone concert when you added a little bit of jazz and a little bit of classical.
Okay.
Or
Sure.
Ahmad Jamal mixing a little bit of his classical training in with jazz piano. Maybe not on this album, but
Yeah. Okay.
or the
Go ahead.
or the great admirer of Ahmad Jamal, Miles Davis,
Miles Davis.
always
Mhm.
crossing over.
Always crossing over.
I
So
thought with modern day jazz, you were going to go to some of that calypso, the Jamaican style music in there. That's
yeah,
what I
okay,
thought with
but I
Courtney Pine.
was thinking more DJ style scratch
Yes.
stuff. Yeah,
Robert Glasper, double booked,
double booked. Crossover jazz.
hip hop.
Oh, jazz. All right. You said it earlier. We're off the rails already. Let's go to the next. Let's go to the next slide where you can get it. We say it every week. All the major streaming platforms. It's true this week as well. I did check. Yeah, I know it's on iTunes. I know that it's on Google Music. So we would prefer to find a local record store and look for this record and buy it local. I did put a quote from Ahmad Jamal at the bottom of that slide. I love this quote. It pretty much sums up my journey, and I feel I'm not going to speak for you, but it's our journey all together, all three of us. I would like to be a scholar in whatever I do. A scholar is never finished. He is always seeking, and I am always seeking.
Yep.
We say it a lot. You know, we're unconnoisseurs of jazz. We listen to jazz music all week long. That doesn't make us smart. I never want to be the smartest one in the room about jazz. I always want to be seeking more. So I always want, I'm on a scholarship.
Yeah,
I'm on a jazz scholarship.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Just hearing Poin, what's it,
Poinciana.
I've never heard it before until tonight. Well, I'm sorry, not tonight, but from listening to it this week. And that suggests there's so much more to learn, so much more to learn. So let's become more scholarly.
Yeah.
Jazz is not your run of the mill pop it on and enjoy music. A lot of it is listen with reverence. And when you start to pay attention to what they are doing musically, what they're doing in the time period that they did it, you start to realize that there's more to it than meets the eye.
I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but I'm afraid that today's society doesn't listen reverently. They don't understand what's going on. And so,
Well, today's society is not listening reverently to the music or other people's opinion.
well, that's true.
Going back to Wynton Marsalis, this is a democracy on stage. You got to be mindful of everybody's opinion around you.
Okay, my opinion is we move to the next slide.
Amen to that. 1958, what happened?
This year in history. In 1958, Elvis Presley enlists in the United States Army. I found that interesting because we're a jazz channel. He was a rock and roll singer, but I'm a slightly big Elvis fan. So this is the year he enlisted in the Army. The first Pizza Hut opens up in Wichita, Kansas. For some reason, I thought it was Fort Wayne, Indiana, where the first Pizza Hut opened up, but apparently it was in Wichita, Kansas.
And that's a good note to have in there because I'm a big fan of Pizza Hut pizza.
I like Pizza Hut.
I think you were thinking of Wendy's hamburgers.
Oh, yeah, Wendy's hamburgers.
Yeah. Opened up in Fort Wayne.
Yep, opened up in Fort Wayne. Also in 1958, the hula hoop is first marketed. Not a big hula hoop fan. I can't do it for some reason. My hips don't.
I bet Drew could in a heartbeat.
I have. I've been known to put one on.
All right. Also in 1958, NASA is formally created by Congress. Now they had been working under a different name, but they formally created NASA in 1958. Lastly, this year in history, Kevin Bacon, Prince, and Michael Jackson were born the year this album came out, 1958. And I like Kevin Bacon, and I like bacon.
I like bacon.
Well, 6 degrees Kevin Bacon's where we got 6 degrees of Miles Davis. So
That's where we got it from. You're right. You're absolutely right.
I don't want to digress, but I saw something very funny this week. Some guy was talking about, I'm not a scholar. I'm not a rich man. I don't own a lot of property. I've been married for so long, and life is tough, but I like bacon.
That's awesome.
Oh, it is awesome.
That's awesome.
All right, let's move on to the timeline slide. I enjoy doing the timeline slide, and this week was no different. Ahmad was born in 1930. I had struggled this week to focus on Ahmad Jamal or to do the trio, so I just focused on Ahmad Jamal. I understand that this album is the trio, but when it's your turn to do the timeline slide, you can focus on who you want to. Ahmad was born in 1930. In 1948, he started touring with the George Hudson Orchestra. And so he would have only been 18 years old when he started his tour with George Hudson.
I mean,
which
15 years prior, he started learning the piano at the age of 3.
At the age of 3, correct. 1958, again, is the year this album is released. And then he took a short hiatus where he moved to Africa to learn about the culture, learn about his culture, and he took a short hiatus from music. 1964, he returned to music after that hiatus. So it said, well, it was like 59 when he moved when he moved over there. When he went over there to explore the culture, he didn't come back until 63, and then in 64 he returned to his music. In 2003, he was inducted into the Jazz Hall of Fame, and I just found that very interesting. There's some more accolades on the next slide, on the information slide, that we'll talk about. I don't know. You know, I think had we started this journey a year before we did, we would have been highly impacted because he just passed away in 2023. We had not started our journey until November, and he passed away in April. So, we lost him just prior to us beginning our journey and being this hyper focused on jazz all of the time.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the information slide, and we'll wrap up the slideshow. Some of the influences that I found, he loved the early piano players, Father Earl Hines, Billy Strayhorn, of course, who played with and wrote for. Who did he write for?
Duke Ellington.
Duke Ellington. Thank you. Yep.
Take
Mary
the
Lou
A
Williams.
train. It's the fastest way to get to my house, Billy.
That's right. And yeah, Billy wrote that, but he also was a piano player. He was, yeah, Billy was a piano player. Mary Lou Williams was also a piano player, and that's interesting to me because we had never heard of Mary Lou Williams before until what, 4 or 5 months ago,
Yeah.
when we were rabbit holing onto something, and you found Mary Lou, and we started listening hard to Mary Lou Williams, realizing what a great piano player
I
she
think it was
was.
probably Brilliant Corners, Thelonious Monk, when we came across her name and thought, wow, if she is teaching the stars, how
Yep.
many other stars was she instrumental in the music? So I saw that and I was like, yeah, that's cool. We know that name now.
Yeah, for sure.
Not
Absolutely.
to be confused with Mary Lou
Mary
Buckles.
Or Mary Lou Retton, the
Very
chimp.
different. Very
Yes.
different.
Very different. Ahmad's got
Well,
67.
you also have Errol Garner as
Oh,
one of the influences listed in the wiki and listed on his website is the major influence in his piano style playing. She was in charge of the Cardwell Music Institution in Pittsburgh. That's who he took lessons from. So I want to highlight that.
And before that, his uncle Lawrence
Lawrence
began.
Welk.
Oh, yeah, no,
Uh,
no, not at all. All it said was Uncle Lawrence when I was reading, and that was at age 3 that he was impressed by his Uncle Lawrence, and Uncle Lawrence he said, "I want you to play what I'm playing."
yes.
And he began to play what Uncle Lawrence was playing, and so that give credit to Uncle Lawrence.
Yep.
I
And by the
don't-
way, Matt, I added Mary Lou Cardwell to the slide, so that's why I wanted to
Okay.
make sure to highlight
Yeah,
that.
I don't mean to leave anybody off. I'm just highlighting a
Nope.
few that are
That were-
important to me or
Yeah.
noteworthy.
And you've usually asked, did you find any others? And today we respond, yes, we did.
Very good. Very good. All right. We got 67 studio CDs. He's got several live CDs out, of course, this being one of them. I don't know why I got lazy and didn't list those, but I did. I got lazy. The genre that's listed for Ahmad Jamal: jazz, hard bop, modal jazz, cool jazz, and post bop. What's cool jazz?
West Coast jazz.
West Coast jazz. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bingo.
And And Snoopy, because Snoopy's cool.
That's what I thought you were going with.
So we,
All I could see was a red bear flying around with Snoopy in it.
yeah.
That's funny.
Funny.
That's
All right.
good.
A few facts about Ahmad Jamal. He was neighbors with Miles Davis, which I found really interesting. Right on the wiki page, it says that how close they lived together and they were neighbors. Converted to Islam in 1950. So I failed to get his real name, but he's just known by Ahmad Jamal. He got the Living Jazz Legend Award in 2007 from the Kennedy Center Arts Institute. The Living Jazz Legend. Let that sink in for just a minute, because he was still alive and he's a jazz legend. Downbeat Hall of Fame in 2011 and the 2017 Lifetime Achievement Grammy Award from the Grammys. So his Lifetime Achievement Award in 2017.
Was that given by the National Endowment of the Arts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, the man was he was amazing. He was definitely amazing.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about But Not For Me. Like as Drew alluded to earlier, it was recorded over 3 days. There were 43 different songs to choose from, and it actually took Ahmad a week to narrow down the tracks. Now, I found it interesting. Here, let me finish with 6 Degrees, and then we'll move on to the discussion. Ahmad and Miles never played together, but they became friends in the 50s, and then they were neighbors in 57 and 58. So I just left it at that, because it is a degree of Miles, whether they play together or not. Being a neighbor of somebody makes them important, right?
It does. But even more than that, beyond being neighbors, Miles Davis had a very, very big appreciation for Ahmad, would attend his concerts, and in later years made his band members attend Ahmad Jamal concerts so that they could learn how to play like him, because that's what Miles wanted. And so he would make them go to Ahmad Jamal concerts and go, this is what I want. He had such a style and a rhythm that Miles wanted his members to know about. Pause, because now I've lost my spot. I got so excited about that. 6 Degrees. I'll back it up here. 1994. 6 Degrees, George Coleman on tenor sax. They played on a 2000 album, which was Jamal's 70th birthday party.
Oh.
And I can't confirm or deny this one, but on a Pat Metheny album called Pat Metheny, Gary Burton and the Heath Brothers was also listed as Ahmad Jamal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it doesn't quite say who played with who, because it turns out it's an actual live jazz festival concert. So I'm not sure if Ahmad got up and played with Pat or if he played with the Heath brothers, but Jimmy and Percy Heath. Of course, all three of those names, George Coleman, Percy, and his brother Heath. But then also Ahmad played with Shirley Horn, the vocalist, on the album May the Music Never End. And also Shirley sang with Miles. So I did have some connections, and I thought, man, I want to dig to find out why, and I never did find a really good answer as why they never played together.
I think here's what I think. I think they were in their own circle, and their circles just never aligned. Ahmad was in his circle, Miles had his circle, and like you said, Miles was such a fan that he would send his band over there. Maybe Miles was scared to get outplayed. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe he was
afraid to get out Whataburgered.
He was intimidated. Maybe I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Perhaps one or two of our viewers would have a response to that.
Yeah. Drop your comments in below.
I'd like to hear that.
So, all right. So I love the 70th birthday album. I love it. I probably have listened to it a few times this week, but in the last year, I love that. I could not find the Pat Metheny, Gary Burton. I couldn't find it on iTunes. Is it available?
I didn't see it on YouTube. I found the actual video from YouTube itself with a concert. I don't know if that's the actual concert. So I think that album is going to have to be bought at your local record store.
I found it on Discogs, and I'm willing to order it, to have it, to own it, but I'm going to buy the CD. So
it's Pat Metheny.
It's Pat Metheny, yeah, and I've never heard of it.
Metheny and Gary Burton. With Jimmy and Percy Heath.
And Ahmad Jamal.
So let me know when you get it. Maybe
I will.
We'll just have a listening party.
I'd love that.
Great idea. Idea.
All right. So my question is the name of the album, Live at the Pershing, But Not For Me. Now, I did a little digging this week. I didn't really find a direct answer. If someone says, but not for me, it means it's either I'm not good enough, or it's too expensive, or I can't afford it, or I love your Cadillac, but it's not for me.
There's a star in the sky, but not for me.
Okay,
the clouds of gray, but not for me.
Maybe
I think about Chet Baker singing the lyrics.
Again, maybe the Persian is not a place where he would want to frequent.
Except, go ahead.
That's not for me. That's a place that's not for me. But
I don't think it went with anything other than this is, and going back, this is 43 songs collected over, it showed 16th and 17th of January, but it was probably 3 big sets. A downtown club, major club in Chicago. They had 3 different venues. One was in the basement, one was on the second floor, and one was on the main floor. So this was a happening Pershing hotel that had its club. So they recorded the albums. There is an actual album that was released not long after the recordings, which was the complete. I'm sorry, it was 2007 when they released the complete version of this, or 8. So I don't know that it was like, but not for me. I think it was a tip of the hat to the song, but not for me.
From Chet Baker.
George Shearing song.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So the opening track on the album is "But Not For Me," and I think it was a way just to say tip of the hat. We'll call it this, so it's not live from the Pershing. We'll put a subtitle on it, but
Okay.
not for me.
All right.
We think about it. I think about it because of Chet Baker. I've been learning his solo. I want to print it so that I can just play it from sight, but the instructor said no. I got to transcribe it.
So the last track on the Time Traveler, the title of that track is "One for Me."
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
one for me,
Yeah, "One for Me." So
but
one
not.
for me to play my solo. I'm going to be a star here. I want to perform for the group, and it's one time for me, just basically alone for almost the entire track. I thought that was interesting, the comparison.
Yes. And I thought about it all week, the comparison between the two. And that's why I looked it up to see if there was a definitive answer on the subtitle,
Yeah.
but not me. But it's just the name of the tune. And so they subtitled the album. Okay. I like it.
That's my guess.
Well, you know what else is interesting? A lot of times the tracks that we listen to, the titles must have some significance or some meaning to tie into the actual album. But they're kind of all over the place. I can't think of any specifics, but
Yeah.
obviously you could. But that's probably where he's coming from with this track title.
Goodbye, pork pie hat. Yeah, I think he had a meaning with,
I think he did.
with the name of that song.
Fairly well to Lester Young. Of course, he
Yeah.
had a meeting.
So,
Sad
anyways,
place.
yeah, it's sidetrack there, but yeah. All right. So, all right, Drew, what were your thoughts on the album? What'd you think?
I love the album. You know, when we first went through this, my only note was it was way too short. These songs weren't long. There was one that was actually a 7-minute song, Poinciana, but everything else was these 3-minute tunes. Super great. It's what led me to really understand in 58 when Downbeat basically said, it was okay. He's kind of like a cafe musician. That's about all it was. When you listen to it, it's probably nothing super exciting if you just do it one time. It's a piano player playing. But then you start to hear how he uses the piano, how he uses the silence, and what his bass player is doing with the drums. That's what continued to blow me away. To me, the album was killer.
Yeah.
It's a must-own album. It's a must-understand. But what I loved the most was this week, not this particular album, but the album with all 43 songs. Of course, one of the things that I did jump into, Matt, and I'll end with this. When Keith Jarrett was 17, the first jazz album he bought as a teenager was
Yep.
Portraits of Ahmad.
Yep.
So I listened to that album several times. If you know that the guy that we just covered last week, the great Keith Jarrett, went out and bought the album Portrait of Ahmad, there's a reason he was going to drop that kind of coin at that time in his life. I bet he burnt that album up. That was one of those record players that the grooves got deeper and deeper, and next thing you know, it's just static on the disc, on the record. So that kind of blew me away in just seeing that, and I thought, well, I better listen to that album too. Dad, what about you? What was your thoughts on the album?
Honestly, it took me some time to adjust to it, to hear it, to appreciate it. But I did listen to it, I don't know how many times this week. When I'm driving, I listen to it with my hearing aids while I'm riding my bike. And it did not hit me solidly initially, but it grew on me. And then I read from the article from the magazine, and it caused me to appreciate it even more with his musicianship and the way he was able to magically almost bring the keys to life, and which he did, and which and that after hearing you talk about it, I'm going to have to change my rating from like a 7 to a 12.
We'll do scores in just a minute, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but it grew on me. It grew on me, and I think it will. Those who may not have ever listened to this album, listen to it several times and let it permeate, let it soak into you, and you'll learn to appreciate his style and the rhythm of it all.
You know, we're here having this conversation based off the JazzWise Top 100 magazines that have shaken the world. Inside these magazines, we've got articles that write about why JazzWise magazine chose these particular albums for their particular list. The article inside gives you a really great heads up on where you're going, what you're going to experience in the music. These are not the highest selling or the most popular albums per se, but these are the ones that have changed and shaped the way in which jazz came to our ears. It just happens that number 17, Ahmad Jamal Trio, did spend 107 weeks on the Billboard Top 100. This album did shake the world in a lot of ways, but thanks to JazzWise, we have this list from 2022. And if you appreciate our content and our information, don't forget to hit subscribe, like, and more importantly, we're learning about jazz music. So please, please, please drop the comments below to help shape our journey. We got 16 weeks left before the number one, and I hope we get to enjoy a couple of albums that I think we are hoping for, but we don't turn the page to the next chapter. So, Matt, your thoughts on Ahmad Jamal?
I loved it the first time we did it on our personal journey. I absolutely loved it. I had never heard the name before, so we were turning the page. We didn't know what to expect. I think you mentioned it a little bit last week on the introduction that we were afraid it was a free jazz artist, and we were like, please, no more free jazz. And when you open your ears and open your mind and listen to the album, you realize the beauty of the work. I was surprised the first time I listened to it. It's almost overwhelming. Now, last week we did cover Keith Jarrett, a phenomenal piano player. I don't want to compare and contrast Ahmad and Keith. There's just it's apples and oranges because the styles are different. I love both styles. I like turtles. So for me, I love the article in the magazine where it talks about him juxtaposing times over 2/4 time and 2/2 time. It drove the critics mad. They couldn't figure it out. And I'm sure he's sitting back there just chuckling like, yep, this is the way to do it. You know, I also love the fact that he was the one that went to the producer and said, I want to record live. I want these live recordings from the Pershing. It was his idea to get the recordings done. I'm sure it was a lot of work, but the producer, the record label exec said, yeah, sure, go ahead, record all you want to. So 43 songs deep, and he's got to choose 8 tunes. That would be frustrating to sit and have to whittle down 43 to 8. And then I'm sure there was discussion. Why can't I pick 10? Why can't I pick 12? Let me pick 12. I got 12 right here. You know, so on the 99 list, it was at number 64.
Okay.
On the 06 list, it was at number 21. Again, this week it's at number 17. I'm not mad at John Newey. I'm mad at myself for not knowing Ahmad Jamal sooner so that I could have enjoyed. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We say it all the time. We get to listen to Ahmad for the rest of our lives, and I will continue to listen and enjoy Ahmad. You know, I learned about Courtney Pine a long, long time ago, I feel like, and I love Courtney. I go back to Courtney a lot.
Yep.
I'm not mad at where it's at on the list. I'm just mad at myself for not knowing. I feel like he's almost an underdog. He's understated. Understated. Thank you. That's
under recognized or
Yep.
appreciated.
Yeah.
underappreciated. I did watch a TikTok from Jason Marsalis who talked about this album specifically. Jason even mentioned the same thing. Mr. Marsalis mentioned the same thing about Ahmad Jamal. He's very underrated, very underknown. He should be more widely known, in my opinion. So if you've not heard Ahmad Jamal, go listen to some single work, or listen to some trio work, whether it's this live at the Pershing or the trio with the guitar and the bass. He is an amazing piano player.
Yep.
Amazing piano player.
One of the things that I forgot to mention, and I now want to bring it up, he was a very strong advocate to not refer to the music as jazz. He said it a million times in his life, this is American classical music. And I am in a branch of American classical music. He would repeat that. I listened to a couple of interviews from NPR where he says it's American classical music. And I think it's probably part of why. He didn't just call himself a jazz pianist. If you've got somebody like Bud Powell to compete with, or Keith Jarrett to compete with, or Thelonious Monk, is he really a true jazz pianist? Which goes back to the Downbeat magazine. Maybe he's just a lounge player. The fact that he's got the awards and accolades that he does should say something. And then the last bit I got, this trio specifically has 8 albums to their name.
Yep.
But Not For Me was the second of their run of 8 together. Imagine that 58 to 64 year where they created music together. That's a great, rich history of a trio. So, yeah, understated, underappreciated, underrecognized, the great Ahmad Jamal.
I love that, because that could be our answer to what is jazz.
Don't ask. I don't even want to get into that.
American classical music, right?
Yeah, it is.
American classical music.
Yep, American classical music. We heard Rosh Hashan Kirk say that.
Yep.
It's black classical music. Don't put it as anything else. Can't call it jazz because the streams are so vast. There, I'm going to start preaching. It's American classical music.
And what Sun Ra say?
That's from Saturn, baby.
It's from Saturn.
I'm just here to tell you.
All right, you ready to rate? Let's rate this album.
Right. Let's get into it.
All right.
Dad, let's start with you.
Okay, based on my criteria and the way I looked at it and listened to it, I gave it a solid 9.5.
Oh, dang it.
9.5, especially after reading what I read, listening with different ears, and like we've said, reverently, respectfully, and anticipating what the flow of it, the creativity of it, how it's improvised, and the rhythm. The rhythm just blows me away. So I gave it a 9.5.
Banging. Matt?
Yeah.
I'm up. It meets all the criteria for me. The craftsmanship of this recording. The recording is phenomenal for being a live recording. Yes, you hear the plates clanking, the forks clanking in the background. You hear people chit-chatting. I don't care about that. I'm glad we got the recording that we did. The awareness. I can pick where everyone's at. I know the stage setup. I can see the club. I can smell the smoke. The creativity for me, Poinciana right there, that is creative enough for me for a perfect score. The spirit of the album, you know the story that he went to the producer, said, I wanted to record. This is not his only time at the Pershing anyways. He had a long-standing gig at the Pershing. This wasn't his first time there. So he knew the spirit of the album is there for me. The emotional side is what got me this week as well. And the week that we rated it hit big for me, the emotional side, because I didn't know what to expect. It's getting the gold at the end of the rainbow for me that sent it straight to the top. This album is a 10 for me.
Good.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Then
So-
Go ahead.
So do you dress in green and follow the rainbow and get your pot of gold? Is that
I'll
what
tell
you
you
said?
one thing. I am far from a little leprechaun, baby. I'm shaped more like the pot of gold. I'm just empty.
I do have the tattoo, the Irish cross tattoo. I would, you know what? I would dress in green and put on a red beard if I could have the pot at the end of the rainbow. Yes, I would.
That's funny. I gave this album a solid 10 for some of the same reasons. What hit me, though, early on is when I looked at the Pershing. It's South Central Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And so what hits me January 16th and 17th, that first part of the year, it's cold, it's snowy, it's nasty, and
windy.
Windy. I'm escaping into a club to listen to Ahmad Jamal. And just like you said, I can smell the smoke in the club. I can smell the booze hanging around. I'm just sitting here to get out of the cold weather to check out this album. And the more he plays, I'm transfixed in what the three of them are doing. And the same thing, I can picture the three of them up on stage just kind of chuckling with each other. Oh, we're going to do that tune. Okay, cool. Let's just have some fun. It's like the Plug Nickel. For Miles and the crew. Let's just have some fun with this thing. We're here, we're doing what we do, but now we got the recording devices out. So let's make sure we're on the ball. One of the things that struck me today listening to the NPR interview is he says, none of it is studio. It's all recorded live.
Mm-hmm.
We don't go in, he says, so I don't like to call it recording in a studio. It's always live. When the musicians start to play, it's always live. It's on location or it's not on location, but it's not studio or live. And I really appreciated his interview on NPR, and I'm going to put that link down below to the interview that I found. It'll be below me. I'm on the bottom of the screen. Down here, dog. I'll put it in the description so you don't have to worry about where it's getting placed. I feel like the Brady Bunch. I'm going to look up at Matt in the corner and then Dad in the corner. But yeah, what a great opportunity. So let's roll into our weeks. I'll start since I'm already talking and my mouth's warmed up. Pretty stable, pretty cool. We've got the first full week of school out and done. Last night, as you said tonight, I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. We have to be open-minded, and I'm in the middle of playing a solo, which I thought was pretty good. I finish up, and two horns down, the kid leans over, and he goes, "Hey, man, your chops, I can see the vibration. You need to tighten up the corners, the edges of your embouchure." And I was like, "Yes, sir." I was like, this stinking high school kids correcting my... Open-minded. That's why I said what I did earlier. It's just help. It's just anybody that we're all there to learn. And he's got some helpful hints for me about tightening up my embouchure. I had all the reasons why it was horrible, but it worked. We also celebrated one of our other trumpet players is now in an official middle school capacity and is sitting on the first chair. This is one of the students that came in a year and a half ago, brand new to the trumpet. So he had been homeschooled, private schooled, and now he's in a public school, and he's reading music, and he's blowing away the horn. His instructor was super excited to have him sitting in and knowing that he was a student of Joe Morales. So it's been a good week of music. What about y'all?
Well, let me tell you this. On Thursday, I officiated a wedding, okay? And during the reception, we went to Biaggi's, by the way, Matt and Drew went to Biaggi's. And one of the waiters said, "You guys want to listen to some music while you're waiting and eating?" And sure. So the guy brought in a boom type box, a small
Bluetooth speaker, yeah.
And he had the groom started playing soft jazz. Man, is that cool?
Yeah.
And the speaker was right behind me, so I could catch every beat, every rhythm. And I
You recognize any of it?
What's that, please?
Did you recognize any of it?
Actually, I didn't. It's the smooth jazz, and
Okay.
I was kind of taken away by my soup and my salad. but
Should have said, "Hey, can you play some Ahmad Jamal for us?"
Yeah.
well, I did
Hey,
ask.
Jarrett.
I did ask how many people around the table, and many of them said, "Yeah, we." And I mentioned Sun Ra to them.
That's your toe right there.
Yeah, they shut me down right away.
I bet they did.
So I also listen to
Forget
Abby
all
Lincoln.
you haters. Forget all you haters.
Yes. Yeah. I listened to Abby Lincoln
Oh,
on a bike ride. Had a drum lesson, a spectacular drum lesson with Lady D this week. And she's talking to me about the different sounds from real low to real high, from a real soft, a piano type soft beat or drum, and then to the loud, the loud banging on the drum. While she was here, she played us a piece by Jacob Collier.
Yeah, we talked about him last week.
Oh man,
Yeah.
if you Drew or others, if you've not seen Jacob Collier, check him out. He orchestrates a big, vast auditorium with probably close to 2,000 people, and he's got them, and he's doing his hands, and people are going, whoa, whoa. I mean, it was really, really something cool. And then Saturday night, Mom and I went to the Vineland winery, and Sunglasses at Night played. And so we got to talk to our friend Brad, the drummer, and that was really, really good. Really good. That's my weekend music. So drum lessons, drum practice, Lady D, and
Yes.
all the variety of stuff. So
Nice.
good week.
I also had a good week in music. Besides Ahmad Jamal, I love. When we switch to the next new artist, I sometimes miss my old artists so much that I went back and listened to some more Keith Jarrett this week. Not that I didn't get enough last week, but I tend to miss it. Herbie, there's never a wrong time for Herbie. But with that, you've got three amazing keyboard players. And again, I do not want to compare and contrast because I love them each for their own style. But man, Ahmad just hits the mark for me. Sunday morning making breakfast, I played Ahmad Jamal because it's easy music to listen to. It's easy to put on, make breakfast. You're going to be in a rush to get that bacon done with Ahmad Jamal on. Saturday night, all day Saturday, we're at a party. So there's a 50th birthday party for my friend Jason Spooler. Pool party. There was about 100 people there, and he hired one of Fort Wayne's premier solo acoustic guitar players to come perform at his party. So we had live music from 4:30 until almost 9 o'clock, and he would have kept going had it not rained. He did have a drummer with him. So yeah, live music all day Saturday was amazing. But other than that, it was Ahmad and it was Keith Jarrett this week. So no complaints about my week in music. No complaints at all.
Good.
Question. As yesterday when we played golf, we weren't listening to jazz.
Well, I had jazz on the way over there.
Yeah.
And it was Ahmad's album, but the album had ended, and so it continued to play. And you said, "Is this Ahmad?" And I think I said yes.
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah, I didn't. Not while we're walking the course. Yeah,
Well,
right.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm not sure I could have played any worse or any better.
But here's the interesting thing. I will tell you this. Friday, I went out for lunch. I can almost eat a plate of Panda Express chicken in the time Poinciana plays. Poinciana is a 10-minute song. I know that I can finish a shower in the time that Poinciana plays. So I came home Friday night after working out, and I played Poinciana, and I was done in my shower before the song was over. So
That's funny.
that's my week.
That's funny.
Well, if you're gonna do it to jazz.
Do it to jazz. That's right.
That's
Very
nice.
good.
Well, speaking of doing it to jazz, it's time to turn the page. What do we have? I'm going to go ahead and announce it. We
Do
are
it, please.
looking at number 16 in the countdown to number 1. This album is from Weather Report, Mysterious Traveler. This was on Columbia, recorded in 1974. We're going from Keith Jarrett and Ahmad Jamal to another piano player, Joe Zawinul, which is going to be absolutely phenomenal, but Weather Report also has Wayne Shorter. This is 1974, so it's going to be a journey into Joe Zawinul and Wayne Shorter in a very different manner. So we've gone from very calm Keith Jarrett to very calm Ahmad Jamal to hold on to your seatbelt. But it is going to be an epic ride. Mysterious Traveler, Weather Report. This is number 16 in the countdown. We're just a few months away from wrapping it up. So
We have not done any other weather report, have we?
no,
We do heavy weather?
we did heavy weather. Yes, that was. I thought we did another weather report already.
Thought for sure we
I've
did.
listened to Weather Report, but I'm not sure we've done it before. In fact, I didn't say this in my week of music, but I did listen to Weather Report this week.
Well, I did too. It's sunny with a chance of 105.
And I did not look ahead to see that we were going to be
No.
discussing Weather Report, but for whatever reason, I went down in the alphabetical order and saw Weather Report, and I thought, I need to listen to this, see what it's like.
I think in my mind, Mahavishnu
Yes.
and John McLaughlin. And then, of course, we had shortly after that, or shortly before that, we had one other, Headhunters.
Headhunters.
So I think that's what I'm thinking about with that, with the electronic
Now,
fusion.
we did talk about weather report a long time ago when we covered Jocko.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Jocko was sitting back up at number 91.
91. So, and he was an integral part of Weather Report in his time, in his era, but not this era. He's not
Yeah.
playing bass on this album. This is in the 70s, 74.
74.
Yeah. You weren't even born yet.
No.
No.
Oh, man. So, all right, kids.
And then next week for our discussion on Weather Report, you know that we're in the top 20 anyways, and there's just not going to be an album that's not banging for us in the next 20
Yeah.
weeks.
And if you don't know what's coming, a year ago we also did a top 25 wish list that's on the YouTube channel. I'll put a link right above Matt's head right now to that link where we did discover, further to your Celtic cross, Matt, above the water bottle. There you go. Where we did give our predictions, our wish list for the top 25. So we're finding out now if those wish lists come true. And as Matt said before, if Pat Metheny was not on the list, he was going to do the last show naked. And I'm thinking that I hope we see a Pat Metheny for everybody's well-being. So
Please.
from our earphones to everybody out there in YouTube land and the podcast, we appreciate y'all jumping in on all your favorite streaming platforms. Thank you all for joining us again this week.
Good night.
Cheers.
Night.